Howdy y'all, and welcome back to I Am a Champion Paralympics edition. So I'm really excited today because the Paralympics actually aired on network television as opposed to cable or streaming services. It was only 2 hours and this is the only day they were going to do it, but at least it was something, and hopefully they'll think to do more next time. But while I'm on the subject, I'm so excited. I wanted to share with you a few things that I have learned about the Paralympics over the last year or so, and also recommend a movie to you that's about kind of the start of the Paralympics. So firstly, the Paralympics have not been around as long as the Olympics, and the way they got their start was actually after World War II. Some British vets, came to hospitals after the war, and there's a great movie called The Best of Men. I highly recommend it, but you might want to watch it before your children watch it because it does have sensitive topics around disabilities and World War II. It's not graphic, but it could be traumatic to some degree for some children. So I really loved how they really showed how much getting these vets out there with the loss of use of some of their limbs changed how not only society views disabilities, at least then in England, and also how the medical community viewed, and still does, the disabled community. So I recommend watching it. I can't really give you all the facts from it because it's been over a year since I watched it and I don't want to mess things up, but I have some great information about it. And so that's one thing I would highly recommend, to at least get your feet in the door of what started the Paralympics. Again, the Paralympics did not start at the same time as the Olympics. Also, a key thing to note about the Paralympics, which I didn't realize until recently, is that the Paralympics and the Olympics are sisters, but not really connected. So they're the most connected out of all of the different major competitions. Like Special Olympics is recognized by the Olympics, and there's one or two others that are recognized by the Olympics. I believe Youth Olympics is recognized by the Olympics, but it's not an official Olympics. Whereas Paralympics is not only recognized, but it's actually counted as like their sister. So they have their own committees, they have their own judgments on things, and they make their own decisions on how they run things. Currently, they have an agreement that started in 2000, and just today it was announced that it has been extended through 2030. I can't remember the exact date, but in the 30s. It was only to run until 2020, so the next Summer Olympics, but they have extended it, so yay for that. This agreement allowed for the fact that they would compete in the same venues, not just the same country, but the same venues that the Olympics competed in, and they would do it directly after the Olympics. So currently, and what will happen for the next several Olympics, is that the Olympics end, and then 2 weeks later the Paralympics come in, and they use the same venues, they use the same everything pretty much that they need. So what that means for everybody involved in this is that all of the venues that will be required for the Paralympics have to not only meet the standards for the Olympians, but also Paralympians who have physical disabilities and blindness. So they have to make sure that they are handicapped friendly, shall we say. At least enough for them to compete as athletes in these same venues. And this has been in agreement since 2000 and will continue through several more Olympics. And I'm really excited about that because that ensures that they will still be not only acknowledged, but actually working together to unite the two kind of Olympics. So anyhow, I'm really excited about that. So because there is this kind of difference between them, you'll also notice that some decisions are a bit different. So this year we had the Olympic athletes of Russia because of the scandal of the doping and whatever. And so the Olympics, the IOC, International Olympic Committee, decided to call them the Olympic Athletes of Russia, or OAR, and they would compete under the flag of the Olympics, and anytime they won, they would do the Olympic anthem, not the Russian anthem. For the Paralympics, the IPC, International Paralympic Committee, decided, no, we're not going to give them even that much recognition as being Russian athletes. They are neutral Paralympic athletes, NPA. So if you happen to have been able to tune into that and wondered what that stood for, there you go. Also, since they have different committees, some other decisions were quite different, like whether or not they would go into the opening ceremonies together. Now, I wasn't able to see the opening ceremony, so I can't confirm what they ended up deciding, but at least up to the date of the opening ceremony, or a day before, the North and South Korea had not decided to come into the stadium as a united Korea, as opposed to the Olympics where they did. So I don't know if they were able to make a decision to unite on the very last day, the 11th hour, because I wasn't able to watch it. Sorry, that was a bug that came in my face. I tried to find information about that, but I couldn't. But I do know, at least right up until the day before, they had not been able to reach an agreement on the flag or to unite to walk in together for the Paralympics. They had their own opening ceremony, their own closing ceremony. They even had their own torch and their own logo. There are a lot of differences between the two, but also a lot of similarities. Now, one major question that comes up when you're dealing with a lot of different disabilities, you can't exactly have one person that has one great working leg and one prosthetic competing against someone who has no legs, and then expect to get down the hill at the exact same time or better. It just is an awkward situation. So what they do, because they have people with different amount of abilities and disabilities, they have a system. And what it does is there's a mathematical calculation that accounts for the different amount of ability that they have. And there are different tiers depending on which sport we're talking about. Different amount of degrees, I think, is the better way to say it. And for each of those different degrees, they have a different calculation as to how much they should change the rate of the clock that's ticking for a race, at least. So the best way to describe it, if you understand golf, it's pretty much like a handicap. Not to be confused with the actual handicaps that the people have that are going down the hill. So there are limb disabilities, and there's also blindness that's represented in the Paralympics. And for each of those things, there's different calculations to account for each of those different types of disabilities. I don't understand them all yet because I've only been able to watch one day of Paralympics, and that was only 2 hours worth, but I was really excited to watch it. It was so much fun to get to watch it with my bestie today. And I'm a little bit frustrated still that it's only 2 hours worth on one day and kind of a crummy time slot. But hopefully this starts something more. And I do know that they plan to do a highlights reel next weekend. So keep an eye out for that. Check your local listings. Keep checking them. I wasn't able to find it easily, what time frame it was, but I ended up going onto Google and doing TV schedule. I used AOL's TV schedule, even though I don't have AOL coverage for the TV. I have antennas on my house, not on me. So I did over the air, and it told me what was on the schedule for today. And so I was able to find it just in time. Like literally I got on the TV 2 minutes before it started. So I would highly recommend that. Keep checking in. Maybe NBC will change their mind and add more coverage if this did well, or if people are speaking up. I don't know. But I would highly recommend that. If you have cable, check if you have MSNBC or the Olympic Channel coverage. Olympic Channel, I believe, is online predominantly. And if you have one of the Hulu or cable subscription, I believe there's one other type of subscription like Crackle or Sling TV. You can get Olympic Network through your streaming service. I don't know if it's through cable itself or only cable streaming, but I would check it out, look into it. If you're interested in this, like I am, I would give it a shot. So anyhow, that's what I'm really excited about. I can try to answer some questions if anyone has some, but that's all I've got for today. And this is already a 10-minute video, so I gotta go. I hope that this has inspired you or excited you as much as I feel like I am excited and inspired today. So go out there and be a champion. Ciao for now. Bye.